Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is our take. We are your hosts. I'm Ocean.
I'm Taylor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to you guys from an off-site location, something a little bit different for the visuals, but we're actually here in the studio live with my father and somebody that you guys have seen on the channel before, Russell. We're actually in his studio recording, so learning some new things and whatnot, but let you introduce yourself, Dad.
I am Russell Subiono. I am Ocean's dad. I am the executive producer of The Conversation on Hawaii Public Radio. We are in CR2, what we call CR2, where we do some of our recordings, and we kind of squeezed in here, but
yeah.
But I think this is going to make for an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I think so as well. And that discussion, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be focused on the 2023 Oscars. We did a top 10 best movies of the year for 2022. That was our Oscars. You guys can see the thumbnail to the video here, but we're gonna cover what the Academy decided was the best movies, and we're gonna kind of talk about the show itself and some things with that, but also talk about maybe what we felt should have won versus didn't, or just talk about it. So this is something that I know for me and my dad, we watch the Oscars every year. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty big thing for us, and we really enjoy it. But Taylor, is the Oscars something that you watch pretty regularly, or only kind of started since we started the channel?
I've always watched it. I kind of treat it like I do with Super Bowl and stuff. It's like I don't necessarily watch maybe the entire thing.
Okay.
But I'll definitely watch it, and then I'm mostly looking out for the results and stuff.
Right.
And then I'll usually go back, and if I for certain winners, when their speeches and stuff, some of them are really really
some
good.
of them are incredible.
Yeah.
Normally, for you, Dad, you try to watch all of the Best Picture nominees and some of the other stuff. Were you able to do that this year?
I wasn't. I was only able to watch 4 of the 10 nominees, which is kind of a bummer because I really enjoy watching films, but for one reason or another, whether it was time or whether the film just wasn't in theaters, I wasn't able to get all 10, but I got 4. I think I got Everything Everywhere All at Once, Top Gun,
Avatar.
I
saw that with us.
And then one other one. But some of the ones that I missed that I wasn't able to see, I think were some really good films, or I had heard from others that they were really good, really worth seeing. So I'll try and catch up on those later.
Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna go through pretty much every category. We're not gonna dive too deep on all of them, but we're gonna touch on them. Just give you guys the winners. For those of you that maybe haven't seen the Oscars yet, you guys can find out the winners here from us. Just so you guys know, there's no spoiler section, right? This is spoilers straight off the bat. So if you guys haven't seen the Oscars, you're gonna find out the winners here. So let's get into it. We will start with writing. We got 2 categories for writing. Writing in an original screenplay. The winner for that category was Everything Everywhere All at Once. So that was their one of their many wins. Some of the other nominees were Banshees of Inisherin, The Fabelmans, Tar, Triangle of Sadness. So original screenplay means it wasn't adapted to anything, right?
Yeah, it wasn't adapted from some previous previous work.
How do you guys feel about Everything Everywhere All at Once winning that one?
I mean, how could you argue?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How could you argue? I mean, I haven't seen The Fabelmans or Triangle of Sadness or Tar, and I've heard good things about all 3. I watched the Banshees of Inisherin. I thought it was, was an interesting, unique screenplay, but I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once was just so mind blowing for someone to have, or 2 people to have written something so so with so many layers and it still be interesting and understandable, I think was such a huge accomplishment. I can't argue with it.
Yeah, I think for me it's the originality aspect. I'm sure there are some similarities you could draw with other films to that movie, but the originality is something that we don't get to see too often in Hollywood anymore. A lot of movies coming out lately have been remakes or reboots or stuff like that, but this is something that we kind of is fresh, something different, and I really enjoyed that. All right, let's next category is going to be writing or adapted screenplays. So the winner for this one was Women Talking. Other nominees: All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, Living, and Top Gun Maverick. What is Women Talking based off of? Is that a book, or do you know?
You know what? I don't know, but I know it is a film about some terrible things that happened to some women in a religious community. It looks like it might be the Amish or it might be the Mennonites. I don't want to speculate without really knowing for sure.
Yeah. But
it was definitely a story about some people who were hurt or made to hurt, who had to overcome some obstacles in their lives or in their time period. So, it's kind of hard to argue sometimes with stories about people who are oppressed, speaking up or trying to overcome their oppressors.
Emotionally charged. Yeah. I just looked it up. It is a Mennonite community, and it's based off of a novel that came out in 2018 by Miriam Toews. I think that's how you say your last name. But did you get a chance to watch that, Taylor?
Women Talking?
Yeah.
No.
It is a Best Picture nominee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not one that I was able to watch.
Well, we'll move on to the next category. We'll kind of rapid fire a few visual effects. The winner was Avatar: The Way of the Water. Other nominees: All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Top Gun, Maverick. This one for me is just kind of like, The Way of Water's visual effects are groundbreaking again somehow.
I do want to say, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I'm totally fine with all of these nominations except for one.
The Batman?
No.
Oh.
It's actually Black Panther.
Oh. Interesting.
Why do you think it shouldn't have been nominated?
Not really so much that it shouldn't have been, because I don't know what else it was going up against, I guess. Like, as far as
what
the next...
didn't make the nomination.
Yeah, what's the next runner-up besides that?
Right.
But of Marvel movies, like, this one was the least impressive to me for effects and stuff and CG and all that.
I would agree. I think there's a lot of really good costume design in that. In fact, I'm pretty sure they won for costume design.
Yeah, which is
so like their costumes and set was really good, but I do remember distinctly there were some very specific scenes of what's the leader of Talakan's name? The dude with the Neymar. Yeah. There were some very some scenes of him like diving into the water and stuff that just looked
his
so
CG
ridiculous.
was pretty awful for majority of it.
Yeah, for a $1 billion company, that it's a little off. So I can understand that. But for sound, we have the winner is Top Gun Maverick. The other nominees were All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, and Elvis. This one was kind of interesting to me that Top Gun Maverick won this. You tried to explain it to me, Dad, what sound is specifically, because it's not score, or it's not music, right? It's not score. Right. It's sound effects and the general score behind the rest of the film, right?
It's like it's all the little things that you don't really notice consciously, but subconsciously you would know was missing. So this is like planes flying and
the sound
birds
of
chirping,
and stuff like that.
Footsteps, and think about the scene where the plane flies over that little structure, that the roof gets blown off, right? You're gonna you know subconsciously that you're gonna hear, you know, some aluminum bending and some wood cracking, you know, and it hitting the ground. So it's all that kind of filler noise that you subconsciously expect. But only consciously notice if it's not there. And so all of these films that were nominated, I mean, these are all great opportunities to really, you know, really make the sound deep on the film. And so I think these are all worthy nominees. I think I was a little shocked that Top Gun won.
Yeah. It just kind of, for me, it was like, this is not the category that I expected Top Gun to potentially win an Oscar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad about it because there's a lot of interesting, what's it called, like things that do produce a lot of like unique noises.
Yeah, what are those people called that do the sound design after the fact, where they're called
Foley artists.
Foley artists. Yeah. That's what it is. I'm sure you guys might have seen, like, is that what you're talking about? Like the people that like are in a recording studio and they make like sounds to match whatever is happening on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes usually it's like a combination of that and just like live recordings while they're, you know, shooting it and stuff. But it's really cool. Like they do this for video games and stuff too.
Yeah,
that's why like Call of Duty has like, you know, crazy
sounds,
sounds and stuff. And the fact that it revolves around like the Navy and ships and planes and all kinds of different environments, like.
It was very accurate too. I mean, I've never been on an aircraft carrier, but
like, you know, the sound that the landing cable, like throughout the movie, like it, it's a very unique sound.
Yeah, that's hard to recreate.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, good on them for winning. I was expecting them to win in a different category, but that's all right. That was their only win, right, of the night?
I think
Top
so.
Gun?
I think so.
All right, so we're gonna get into two categories that I will say that I honestly did not see any of these, but it's short films, live action, and animated. For the live action side, the winner was An Irish Goodbye. The other nominees were Ivalu, Les Peuples, Night Ride, and the... Is that how you say it?
That's what it looks like to me.
And The Red Suitcase. I didn't see any of these. Did you guys see any of these?
No.
Sometimes it's hard to watch live action short films because they don't get a wide release like feature films do.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happens with like a lot, like some of these things. It's like I wanted to watch it, but there was no way for me to watch it.
It's not on any streaming services, or anything like that. Yeah.
And sometimes theaters will bring them in right before the Academy Awards broadcast. But it's not always at a convenient time either. I mean, they try, but it is harder to see these films if you're not in the Academy. If you are in the Academy, you know, you get them mailed to you.
You get access, right? Yeah. I would like to watch An Irish Goodbye just to see what the winner in this category looks like. You know, same thing with on the animated side. The winner was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Other nominees were The Flying Sailor, Ice Merchants, My Year of Dicks, and an ostrich told me the world is fake and I think I believe it.
Love it.
Yeah. I will say that was probably one of very few of Jimmy Kimmel's jokes that actually made me laugh during the night. But yeah, there's a short film that was nominated about dicks, so that's probably.
Is it actually about penises?
I'm pretty sure it's about all the men that she had
named
relations
Richard
with, right? Or is it that?
I don't know.
Let me check.
I thought it was about. A year of her intimate relations.
Oh, I don't know.
And that's. I mean, it does make sense that she just dated a bunch of people named Richard or something.
I mean, what a great way to get people to be curious about the film, right? Yeah.
So it says it's about a girl trying very hard to lose her virginity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is searching for the one.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure it's a great film. It was nominated for an Oscar, but it's a very attention grabbing title,
right?
And I'm sure they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So.
Of course.
But yeah, this is another one I'd like to see: The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, because I want to see what the winner is in that.
Some of the clips of that, the animation looks really interesting.
Yeah, it's very seems rudimentary in very basic animation, but I don't know. It looks pretty good. All right. Next category is going to be production design. The winner was All Quiet on the Western Front. Nominees were Avatar: The Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. What exactly is production design, Dad?
Production design is everything that you see in the frame. So the the production designer, his team, and there's part of his team is set design,
right? And
so everything that you see in the frame, every little detail contributes to the visual storytelling. And I'm trying to think of if you think of like Top Gun,
right? And
if you think about the scene where Maverick is being told that he's getting sent back to Top Gun,
right?
And the room is kind of empty, but if you think about the style of the table and the style of the chairs and the windows and the whiteboard behind Tom Cruise,
right? And
if you think about just how all of that ties together to really give you the feel of that's what a military room looks like, right? Like an open conference room on a military base. And if you've never been in one before, you would feel like, that looks like what I think a military room would look like. And if you think about
in a nice place,
right.
It's in a nice place that houses admirals and generals, but
right. And if you think about any movie that you've seen, and if you think about what's in the frame as you're watching it and how it contributes to making you believe that you are where they say you are, then that's production design. And somebody, you got to have a real detail, a real eye for detail, and you have to, you really have to believe that every piece on the set is really speaking to where you are, what time it is, who owns it. So it's a very nuanced job in the film industry.
Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense why All Quiet on the Western
Front. I'm happy with that.
I mean, I wasn't like questioning it. I had an idea of what it was, but I didn't know for sure. But yeah, that makes sense why All Quiet on the Western Front.
So does that include CG then?
I think CG plays a big role, because if the production design, they storyboard everything before the movie is made to kind of illustrate what they're thinking, what they have in mind. If there's a component of CG for the film, I'm sure that the production designer is working with the CGI company to make sure that their ideas match up.
That makes sense. Okay. All right. Next category is going to be we're going to go makeup and hairstyling. The winner was The Whale. Other nominees: All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Elvis. Winner was The Whale. I still have yet to see this movie, unfortunately, but man, that fat suit that they made for Brendan Fraser looked pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I myself have interacted and been around a lot of people that are that size, and that was pretty damn accurate.
Yeah, that's a good thought. You've gone on a lot of medical calls in your
people
job,
that size, like 400 plus.
Have you
pounds,
had to remove a section of a wall?
Yeah, we may or may not have had to. Couldn't fit through the door, so might have had to go through a wall or maybe out the top of a boat. But
oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
But yeah. Interesting things, but the fat suit was pretty incredible, and I got to give him props for that.
One thing I find interesting about The Whale winning is that Brendan Fraser was the only character in that film that had makeup.
Right, that really needed a...
Whereas I haven't seen all the other nominees, but it seemed like there were more than one character that needed makeup and hairstyling in those other films. So it's just a curious one. I'm not saying it's undeserved, but it's curious that the film that won was one where just one character needed it.
I could see that.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. I'm not gonna lie. I was actually expecting Black Panther: Wakanda Forever to win this for their crazy hairstyles and stuff that they had throughout the movie, and their just their visual representation, because it's a very tribalistic look and whatnot. So I was actually expecting them to win, and if not them, honestly, I thought All Quiet on the Western Front was going to win it after them, because it was pretty insane how they transformed the guys to look like they did in World War One. So
yeah, I would kind of agree with that. Like, as far as sheer volume of transforming stuff with like makeup and stuff, Black Panther and All Quiet on the Western Front were really good. The Whale to me is kind of like the equivalent of like the Batman, where it's like there is one particular person I'm thinking of that like looks just looks crazy good, because it doesn't even look or sound like Colin Farrell
at all. He
just looks so good.
I guarantee you, if you put a picture of the Penguin from the Batman in front of somebody and they didn't know that Colin Farrell played them, they have no idea that it was Colin Farrell.
I've heard that other actors on the set didn't know it was Colin either.
It looks so good.
And I don't think if nobody had told you it was him, I don't think you really would have figured it out. And when you are told it, you still are kind of curious,
it's hard,
right?
Kind of like disbelief. You're like, what?
But if you look at their eyes, though, the eyes for me was what kind of sealed it for me. I looked at both of the eyes are the same, and that kind of led me to believe, okay, that's great makeup then. But good point on the Batman.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next category, we're gonna go international feature film. The winner was All Quiet on the Western Front. Other nominees were Argentina, 1985, Close, EO. I don't know if that's how you spell it. It's just EO, and The Quiet Girl. I guess I was slightly confused as to what the qualifications would be for this category, because All Quiet on the Western Front is made in German and they speak German and whatnot, but it was released on Netflix. Like, and I don't know if like because it was like released in Germany first or whatever. I don't know what the finer details of it are, but it didn't really strike me as an international feature film, or maybe I just thinking because it is. I mean, it is a story about another nation for sure, but like these other four that are nominees, these are all like ones that are from other countries, and unless I'm just missing that All Quiet on the Western Front.
I could be wrong, but the only reason it was featured on Netflix is because they paid for that. Like, like it's not, they didn't fund the movie. They just wanted the rights to show it on the service.
Oh, okay. All right. So they
I could be wrong, but
that's accurate. That's accurate.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that answers my question.
So like it is like a German film and everything.
Film, right.
They just wanted to have the rights to show it on Netflix, so they paid them enough money to make it a Netflix. Considered a Netflix.
Yeah, the Netflix is the distributor for the film, and I think one thing that isn't widely known about the film industry is there's the production studio that makes the movie, and then once you've made the movie, you have to find a distributor for it. And so there are many different distribution companies, but the distribution company is the one who gets it into the theaters. I believe the distribution company is also responsible for the marketing portion of it in terms of trailers and things like that. I could be wrong about that, but every film that's made has to find a distributor. And so if you don't, it's much harder. I mean, you don't have to, but it's much harder. So what I believe is that All Quiet on the Western Front was made by a German production company, and then they put it out to say, we have this film. Is there a distributor out there that's interested in handling the distribution part of it? And I believe Netflix decided, hey, we'll be your distributor.
Thank you guys for that explanation. That's exactly the answer that I was looking for to kind of explain my confusion. Maybe it might help you guys, the viewers, as well. But I mean, so one thing I will say about All Quiet on the Western Front, before we go any further, is that after rewatching it, it definitely deserved a higher spot on my top 10 list of 2022.
I'm kind of surprised.
Retroactively, I probably would put it at number 2 or number 3.
What was it before?
I think it was like 5 or 6.
Okay,
it was like halfway down my list. But just the movie is just absolutely incredible. And when you watch a movie for the second time and you're still blown away by it, that to me that's kind of like how you know that it really is the real deal. So good on them for winning that category. Next category is going to be film editing. The winner was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Other nominees were The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. This one, I'm not going to say that Everything Everywhere All at Once didn't deserve it. But I think like I could have. This is one of the ones that I kind of saw Top Gun Maverick winning, with their aerial stunts and combat and whatnot. Like that's got to be incredibly hard to edit.
Yeah.
And coming from somebody that does really, really basic editing for YouTube videos, like I can't imagine having to try and scrub through footage of aerial combat and whatnot and editing that like to make it watchable. Like that's got to be incredibly hard. So, but I don't know. Everything Everywhere All at Once definitely didn't not deserve it. Like their editing was pretty insane too. So.
Yeah, I've only seen of this list. I've only seen the three of them. I have not seen Elvis or Tar.
Yeah.
But I imagine anything that has a lot of action or a lot of music,
right?
Especially Elvis and Tar are both about musicians. Or Tar's about a conductor and Elvis is about a musician. But the stakes are much higher.
Right.
It's much harder to edit those types of films in a way that makes sense. And one great thing about editing, or one kind of thing about editing that maybe a lot of people don't know, is that when in the film industry, directors and movie makers say there are always three versions of the film, right? There's the one that they write, there's the one that they shoot, and there's the one that they edit. And sometimes the thing that you write isn't exactly the thing that gets edited.
Oh, okay.
And so I think editors are kind of the unsung heroes of the film industry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? In that they are able to put together the film in a way that it makes sense, in a way that it accentuates the acting and the performances by the people. And really the editor kind of has that last filter of the story and really has a big hand in making sure that the story is the best it can be by that part of post-production. So for Everything Everywhere All at Once to win, I think just really illustrates how well the whole process went from writing to finishing the film, and just how many skilled people were on there, especially knowing that they won Best Picture.
Yeah. Small spoiler there, but no, I think you're 100% right. Especially, like I said, as somebody that edits very, very basically, I can't imagine having to edit a feature-length film.
Yeah, I mean,
my mind would be lost.
Definitely of like all these movies, which I have seen all of these movies. For sure, Everything Everywhere All at Once and like Top Gun would be my biggest guesses of like being super difficult just because there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah. All right, we'll move into the next category. This is another one of those like kind of dual categories. This is documentary. There's two categories: short film and feature-length film. On the short film side, the winner was The Elephant Whisperers. Other nominees were Haul Out, How Do You Measure a Year, The Martha Mitchell Effect, and Stranger at the Gate. For this particular winner, The Elephant Whisperers, this is actually probably out of all of the stuff that I haven't seen, except for Best Picture nominees. So anything that has been nominated for this year's Oscars, The Elephant Whisperers is actually something that I probably am the most like wanting to see. Yeah. It looks super interesting to me, and I love stories about culture and how people have perpetuated their culture to stand the test of time and the test of modern society. And I think from what I saw in the trailer and from what they talked about during the Oscars, this is exactly that. So I'm definitely going to be looking for this film to watch, and I'm pretty excited to watch it.
When you think about some of the documentaries that have come out about the way elephants have been treated in things like circuses and like farms or like petting zoos and stuff like that.
Or poachers.
Yeah. And you think about some of the terrible things that have happened to them. Yeah, I mean, here in Hawaii, we had an elephant rampage down the street of Waikiki.
Yeah.
And so
they had to shoot him, right?
Yeah, the police ended up having to put him down with gunfire. So it was kind of a sad thing to know that this elephant, for whatever reason, decided that it was just done performing in this circus and went and ran away like that. But for that, what's interesting to me about the Elephant Whisperers is to see these people who have this relationship with the animal, and that to me, I think is a kind of an interesting thing. So I would like to see that film as well.
Yeah. All right, documentary feature film. Winner was Navalny. Other nominees were All That Breathes, All the Beauty and Bloodshed, Fire of Love, and A House Made of Splinters. I'm not familiar with any of these. Navalny, from what I gathered during the Oscars and limited research I did on it, it's a story about somebody in Russia standing up about the Ukraine war. And they're Russia being Russia. So I don't know a whole lot more about it, but it's another one that I'd like to see as well.
I thought it was about hockey player Alexei Navalny.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Definitely was not.
I did see Fire of Love.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Fire of Love is a really good documentary, well-deserved nomination. It's about this couple who are volcanologists. And these are, it's really great to watch this story about these two people who just love volcanoes, love everything about volcanoes.
Random thing to be infatuated with.
And it is, and what they're volcano nerds, essentially, and they just fully embrace it, and they love volcanoes in different ways too, and it's their love of volcanoes that keep them together, or what brought them together.
So interesting.
And I don't want to give away the end, because I think the end is pretty interesting, even though you'll know the end once you start watching the movie. But this couple, they died together.
Oh, wow.
Observing a volcano.
I was going to say they probably died. Because if that's your
thing,
hobby, eventually it's a possibility.
But watch the film. It's a beautiful love story about two volcano nerds and their untimely demise. But very, very well made film, and they spent some time here in Hawaii observing Kilauea and Mauna Loa too, if I remember right. But they spent some time here in Hawaii, so there's a Hawaii tie in a sense to that film.
All right, next one is going to be directing. The winner was Everything Everywhere All at Once. The other nominees were Banshees of Inisherin, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. All Best Picture nominees. Has there ever been like somebody that's nominated for directing that wasn't nominated for Best Picture? Like those kind of go hand in hand, right?
They do go hand in hand, but I think there have been, or maybe there's been Best Picture nominees that didn't get Best Director. Yeah, but
I mean, this is another one that Everything Everywhere All at Once. Then Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. I don't know how to say his last name, but the Daniels, like, I can't imagine trying to direct a film with another person. Like, especially when you're the director, you're responsible for everything, right? You have this vision that you're trying to create, and for you and an entirely another human being to have the shared vision be the same and be able to put out a product that is incredible, like that, to me, it's mind-blowing that you can. Like, for me, I probably end up getting pissed off at that person because they're not like seeing it the same way that I want it. And there'd be like, and I'm sure that's happened plenty of times. So for them to be able to mesh their ideas enough together to create this incredible film was super impressive for me. And I'm pretty stoked that they won. Has there been other directing duos that won Best Director?
That have won, I'm not sure. I know the Coen brothers have been nominated before. They may have won. I can't remember. That was something that we could probably look up real quick. But I agree with you. It's hard. Even though the filmmaking is a collaborative process, it's hard to be a collaborative leader or be the leader collaboratively. So hats off to Daniel Kahn and Daniel Scheinert for pulling off everything everywhere all at once, and still remaining friends afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like the Coen brothers won for No Country for Old Men.
There you go.
And also Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins for West Side Story.
Okay. Okay. Back in the day.
Yeah. Alrighty. Next category is going to be costume design. The winner was Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Other nominees were Babylon, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. I think this one is well deserved. I think Black Panther's costume design was pretty amazing. Even though I didn't really care for the film as a whole in general, I got to give credit where credit is due. The costumes were pretty awesome. And
yeah, I mean, for this category, I'm not sure, like, I guess specifically what they're looking for, and I guess it might vary because of this list of movies. Black Panther stands out as being the coolest one for sure, but maybe that's not necessarily what you might be looking for. Is that part of that category?
I think so. And if you kind of look at the films that were nominated,
right, a lot of them were period pieces. And stuff,
you have period pieces, and then you have a kind of a science fiction movie, right, or a couple of science fiction movies, and I think best costume design usually. Those kinds of movies are usually period pieces or something, real novel films, whether they're science fiction or kind of just outside the norm. And I think when nominations come in, I think people are really looking at the originality when it comes to something like Black Panther. How original and how stunning the design is, or when it comes to period pieces, just how accurate do the costumes look for the time.
How do you weigh those two?
That's what I'm curious about.
How do you compare?
I can't even I can't compare them because, like I said, Black Panther is absolutely the coolest one because it's like a fiction, kind of thing.
They have a lot more room
and I haven't seen Babylon or Miss Harris Goes to Paris, but like for Elvis, it's like it looked accurate to me.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't live in the 50s and 60s,
so I can't verify that, but it looked really good. But it's like, how do I, measure the two? Because
no, I do agree with that. It's hard to compare that, and I don't know how they do that, but
this may be like the most competitive category of them all. I mean, it seems like they're just shades off each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even from Babylon, I didn't watch the movie, but even from the trailer, like the costume design looked, because this is another period piece, but it's also like centered around Morocco, right, or like that area of the world. So their wear is very, very interesting and bright. All right, next category is going to be cinematography. Winner was All Quiet on the Western Front. Other nominees were Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. Cinematography, this is kind of one that I was surprised that Top Gun Maverick was not nominated for this, especially with their pioneering actual flying footage. Like that's something that's really never been done before, especially in the sense that the actors were in the seats and were being filmed.
Like the Navy, literally
flew them around, and they had to go through training to be able to handle the G's and stuff, the forces that are put on the body. So to me, that's part of cinematography, right? Because and for them not to have even been nominated was pretty interesting for me. Not taking anything away from All Quiet on the Western Front, because again, that movie is just absolutely incredible. But I thought that Top Gun Maverick should have been at least nominated for this category. So
I think I don't disagree with you, but I wonder if it when you have these really intricate action sequences that are really tough to film and really you have to really come up with a way to portray them on screen. I think that's requires a lot of skill, and I think that's something that should be celebrated. And I think most of the time when it comes to best cinematography, I think they're really looking for films that really are beautiful in frame, like artistically beautiful. So I'm not saying that I agree with you. I don't disagree with you, but I think when most people that are submitting nominations for who they think has the best cinematography, I think they're really looking at kind of like, does the frame look like art?
Yeah, right. Like art, so like I could just like stop it at a random frame and be like, that is immaculate.
I think something. Yeah, I think sometimes that's the standard that they're looking for, and I think in absence of that standard, I think Top Gun may have kind of come into the category.
Where would my thought of the technical aspect? What category would that fall under more?
That may be more editing, that may be more production design. I definitely think it is part of cinematography, because you still have to choose the angle, right? You still have to decide what shot will best convey what you want the audience to feel in that moment. And those images of the pilots fighting off the G-forces, any other angle, I don't think you really feel it, except for looking at them head on. Yeah,
especially, I mean, Taylor, maybe you can shed a little bit more light, because you actually went to see it in 4DX, or was it 4DX?
Yeah, 4DX.
And you talked about how like that's pretty much like the film that style of watching a movie was made for.
Yeah, like it was that. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was absolutely meant for 4DX.
Because that's the one where like the seats move and
yeah,
there's
so like it's super cool, because as the when they have the cockpit shot, as like you as the pilot, and it's like, and like Tom Cruise is like whipping around the like canyon and stuff, like you're in it like with them, and you're like, yeah. And, like you feel the winds, and like you can just like smell the trees and the mountain and stuff, and you're like, oh my god, this is insane.
I think that's pretty incredible.
I still wish they would bring that back so you guys can watch it again.
I would have loved to have done that.
All right, next film, or next category, sorry, is going to be animated feature film. I'm sure you're pretty excited about this one, yes. Taylor. The winner was Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Other nominees were Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
There you go.
The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. I'm pretty stoked that Puss in Boots made the cut for this, because I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It was in my top 10 for those of you that watched that video. But Taylor, I'll let you talk a little bit more about Pinocchio.
Yeah, I'm super excited that Pinocchio won. There's actually the Sea Beast is really good too. Turning Red, I wasn't that huge fan of.
I'm not a fan of that movie.
And then of course, you guys know I won't support this. I'm sure obviously it must be a great movie.
It was a pretty great movie.
I can't. And then Marcel the Shell with Shoes On was that's an A24 film. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing it, and I think at the time there was other stuff that I was way more excited to watch, so I just never did. But
you were pretty excited about that movie.
I didn't watch the movie, but I really like Marcel the Shell. I just think it's a really funny character, and voiced really well, and just kind of really cute. It's a lot of, I don't want to say it's a lot of dry humor, but because the voice is so cute, it doesn't seem so dry.
Yeah.
But it's really funny, and I haven't seen the film, but I want to see it. I've watched a lot of Marcel the Shell's shorts, which I just think are hilarious.
Yeah, we'll have to watch that movie then. Yeah. All right, we'll dive into kind of, so at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about some categories that we kind of want to delve a little bit deeper into, and give a little bit more of our thoughts. It might be a little bit controversial, but the first category that we'll talk about is the music category. There's two categories. The first one is music original score. Other one is the music original song. So as far as original score goes, the winner was All Quiet on the Western Front. Other nominees were Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Fabelmans. This one is interesting to me that All Quiet on the Western Front won. I don't think it shouldn't have won. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Babylon seems to me like it had a lot of really good music and score, but I don't know. I didn't see that movie. I will say All Quiet on the Western Front's like their like bass score that they played every time they won every time they won a award where it's like real bassy and just like that kind of stuff just gets me going. It's amazing. So good for them that they won. Yeah. The other category, the one that we'll kind of get into a little bit, is music original song. The winner was Natu Natu. Other nominees were Applause, Hold My Hand, Lift Me Up, and This Is a Life. Dad, you were telling me that you're kind of surprised that Natu Natu won this one.
I am, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I Bollywood is such a huge deal.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting to kind of see how it kind of seeps into mainstream Hollywood. And it's kind of nice that it seems like it kind of started with this song, and maybe we'll start to see more recognition of Indian productions within the Academy Awards. And it's a fun song. It's a fun song. And they did a really good performance. What I think is especially interesting about this category, Applause. I can't remember what movie that's from.
It's from Tell It Like a Woman.
Okay. So it was written by Diane Warren, who is probably the greatest songwriter of of my generation, or of the current generation, or my not the current generation, my generation. I'm not the current. But Diane Warren is a great songwriter. Has written many great well-known songs. Probably the most well-known is I Don't Want to Miss a Thing from Armageddon. She wrote that song.
Yeah.
And she's been nominated for Best Song, I think, for the last 5 years straight.
Oh, wow.
And so, or her songs have been nominated. So I think well done, Diane Warren. Lady Gaga, I think, is a very talented person. The fact that she wrote this song with somebody named Blood Pop, I just think it's so cool. Rihanna, being
Lift
nominated.
Me Up. Yeah. I actually thought Lift Me Up was going to win. I really, really like that song. And I think Rihanna was like the perfect person to sing that song, especially for the film and for where it was in the film and the emotion that it was trying to convey within the story, and with the fact that unfortunately Chadwick Boseman passed away. I thought it was really good. But
yeah, well done with that. And then I think David Byrne is a underrated musician, and for him to be one of the writers on This Is a Life, and for him to perform at the Academy Awards with the hot dog fingers, it's so David Byrne. David Byrne. So this was an interesting, fun category, I thought.
Real quick before we move on, for going back one category, original score, I just remembered / realized that The Fabelmans, their score was produced by John Williams. Is this the last time that we're going to see John Williams nominated for an Oscar? Because he's retiring, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember what his last film is supposed to be, but I know he's retiring soon. So I'm curious to know if you guys think this was his last nomination.
I think it kind of depends on what his last film he is scoring. Like if he's scoring the new Indiana Jones film.
He is, right? Is he?
I think so.
I feel like he is, right? Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
The Academy doesn't normally nominate, action adventure films like that when it comes to score or something. They usually reserve those kinds of nominations for really kind of highbrow movies. So if that ends up being his last film, I think it's the likelihood that he gets nominated is probably not there, but to me, it makes the most sense to end his career or start his retirement with a Spielberg movie. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get into kind of like the real big categories that everybody really pays attention to. We'll start off with Best Supporting Actor and Actress. I'm super stoked about these. The winner for actor in a supporting role was I can never say his name.
Ke Huy Quan.
Ke Huy Quan. And other nominees were Brendan Gleeson, Brian Tyree Henry, Judd Hirsch, and Barry Keoghan.
Barry Keoghan.
Yeah. I'm so stoked that he won. It's amazing. I know for a fact that after we watched Everything Everywhere All at Once for the first time, I said that not only did he deserve the Oscar, but for actress in a supporting role, the winner was Jamie Lee Curtis from the same film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Other nominations were Angela Bassett, Hong Chau, Carrie Condon, and Stephanie Hsu. I think they both nailed it, smashed it out of the park, 100% deserving of these awards. And I'm super stoked that like kind of predicted it, but I'm just really stoked for them. They're so deserving. And both of them, Jamie Lee Curtis, it was her first Oscar, which was super surprising to me. And it was her first nomination ever too. And she's been in the film industry for forever. And and her reaction, did you guys see her reaction when she won? I know you didn't because we didn't, or maybe you saw it after.
I saw a clip, yeah.
Was that like when she was surprised?
Yeah, she was shocked. Like most people, they're kind of like, oh, thank you. But she was just like, what? And it's always great to see that level of emotion from people that you hold at such a high standard, So it was super, super awesome to see her and him win. And Ke Huy Quan's acceptance speech to me was probably the best of the night.
Yeah, I would agree.
His acceptance speech was so pure and emotional. And when he stands up there and he says like, "Mom, I just won an Oscar," like, man, I can't imagine what kind of emotions were running through him and his family's mind, especially through everything he's been through and the story he has is pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely comeback of the century, right? I mean, I can't think of a better comeback story than Ke Huy Quan. And what's great, I think, about both of these categories is I think everybody is 100% deserving.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing against Angela Bassett, but I don't know that I feel like she... I feel like maybe there was a lot of overacting there. I don't know. Hot take. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a little bit.
I kind of agree. Like that.
Yeah,
that was one. Like she obviously she did. She's good. It's just.
I don't have anything against Angela Bassett's performance, but when we're comparing it to the performance of Jamie Lee Curtis as well as like Hong Chau from The Whale, I didn't watch it, but everything I've seen on it is pretty incredible. Or even Stephanie Hsu, who is the daughter in Everything Everywhere All at Once, like their performances were just on another level, and yeah.
A lot of great things about these performances. I think Brendan Gleeson brings it all the time in every film that I've ever watched. I really like Brian Tyree Henry. I like that he's gaining more recognition amongst the industry. He's a really good actor in a lot of different roles. Judd Hirsch is he's been in the industry forever as well. Yeah. I don't know if he's been nominated before, but he's definitely deserving of being nominated. He's been in the industry for a long time. Barry Keoghan, I think, is a talented actor.
I think he's up and coming too. I actually really like him. I think he's a really solid actor.
Yeah, I don't feel like he did so much in the film. Like I was a little curious. Like I don't know that I don't know. I didn't feel like...
Well, it's not too often that two people get nominated for the same film,
there's that too.
Right?
Yeah. But like, I feel like, I don't know if his character was big enough to have... But that's not for me to decide. I'm not in the Academy. And as for Best Supporting Actress, 100% agree. Jamie Lee Curtis deserving. And all the stories I've heard about her is like she's the kindest person that you'll ever meet. She's the same person that she was when she started. Yeah. In terms of being generous and being kind and being down to earth. Yeah. Carrie Condon, I think, is a really good actress. I think she was solid in Banshees. Stephanie Hsu did a hell of a job in her role. Yeah. And then Hong Chau, I'm such a huge fan of Hong Chau. She's had these really great roles in a handful of recent movies. She was in The Menu. She was in this,
she's the second in command or whatever, right?
Yeah, and
I know you did. But she did do really well in that movie though.
Yeah, she was great in that. She was in this movie called Driveways a few years ago. That was my favorite film of that year. I think it was like 19 or 20. She's really good. I'm glad she's getting a lot more recognition because she's really talented and I just think people with unusual names should get more recognition.
All right, well, let's move on to our second to last category of this episode. It's going to be actor and actress in a leading role. So best actor, best actress. On the male side, our boy Brendan Fraser finally got his Oscar. Another incredible comeback story. Other nominations were Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, Paul Mescal, and Bill Nighy. On the female side, for the actress in a leading role, the winner was Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere All at Once, Kate Blanchett, Ana de Armas, Andrea Riseborough, and Michelle Williams. Super stoked for both of these people to win. I also didn't know that was Michelle Yeoh's first nomination and first win. Another person that has been in the film industry for an incredibly long time. So for this to be her first nomination and win was surprising, but super satisfying and super gratifying. She's another person that I thought immediately after watching the movie that I was like, yeah, she's going to be nominated, and I wouldn't be upset if she won. So, and Brendan Fraser, man, he's, like you said, just another incredible comeback story. Like where has he been since The Mummy? What is he really hasn't done a whole lot since The Mummy, and then now he's winning an Oscar, and his acceptance speech was another one that just felt so genuine to me, and so awesome to watch, because he was so happy and just so, like, he couldn't even talk. Like, he had no way to talk, and that's what I imagine winning a honor and an achievement like getting an Oscar would be like. You know, it'd be something that, like, just so amazing that I don't know how to process it or be able to talk and get my emotions out, because it's just flooding me with emotion.
Yeah, that's one thing I feel like I kind of like about Brendan Fraser, other than just growing up with all his stuff. He's kind of maybe similar to, like, how you were saying with Jamie Lee Curtis. He's always been that type of person that, like, maybe this might be partially why I like him, is like he's somebody who acts like a normal person, where it's like I can relate to him even in this situation where it's like he seems like just a regular person, not like this, you know, like super important, like
star.
Yeah, like person. Exactly, like movie star, which he is, but he doesn't give off that expected personality or whatever you want to call it.
The stereotypical star personality.
Yeah,
I do wholeheartedly agree with that, and I'm super stoked for him. Did you guys see that video of him and Ke Huy Quan meeting up in the after you get your Oscar, you go and give the speech or whatever behind the scenes? You didn't see that video?
I don't think so.
You didn't see it either?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, there's a video of them after they got their Oscars, because you know how, like, after they get their Oscars, they exit stage and they go to, like, the back, and they basically do a little mini press conference, right? Ke Huy Quan and Brendan Fraser were both back there at the same time, and they both worked on a movie way back in the day, Encino Man, right? And it wasn't really that great of a movie and wasn't really received very well.
It's a cult classic, though. I mean, for people from my generation, we're aware of it, and, you know, it's one of those fun kind of movies.
Right. Yeah. But for them to be reunited and, like, their interaction with each other, like Ke Huy Quan, like, ran up to him and hugged him. They're like, yeah, we won. It was a really incredibly heartfelt moment. And also when Ke Huy Quan recounted him and oh my gosh, what is his name from Indiana Jones?
I was gonna say that reminds me of the same moment of seeing Ke Huy Quan and Harrison Ford hug.
So very,
because, like,
similar.
in my head I'm like thinking, like, wow, this is literally
it's back,
like
full circle.
Yeah.
Very similar. The only difference is that Brendan Fraser versus, like, Harrison Ford. Brendan Fraser was super excited too, and, like, they're just a different personality. Yeah. Like, Harrison Ford is awesome, and he's, you know, I'm sure he's super excited, but doesn't outwardly display it as much because he's a very stoic man.
It's Harrison Ford.
Yeah. But Brendan Fraser was like, it was just it was so awesome to see them reunited as well. So.
Yeah, I'm happy for Brendan Fraser got this dub. that he
Yeah,
deserved.
the dub. He definitely deserved it, man.
I mean, there's a lot of these obviously are all like great actors and stuff. I really loved Austin Butler's performance. Colin Farrell is always great to me and everything. I'm not familiar with the other two, but
Bill Nighy, you've seen Bill Nighy before. Yeah. You know who he is. He's kind of one of those actors that when you see him, you're like, oh, I know who he is. He's kind of big, but you may not know his name very well.
Yeah.
He's Davy Jones.
Yeah, he's Davy Jones.
He's Davy Jones in
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know who he is.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the movie that he was nominated for.
Okay, yeah, I love
it's about a Japanese. It's based off of a Japanese story.
Right.
So, I'm actually pretty interested to watch it.
I think every one of these nominated actors and actresses could have very easily won. I'm not familiar with Paul Mescal or the film that he was in, but the rest of them, I haven't seen them all, but I'm very familiar with them. I haven't seen Elvis, but from what I've seen in clips, Austin Butler really looks like Elvis.
Oh yeah,
and he seems to have a lot of the body movements down and the mannerisms down. I agree with you. I'm a huge fan of Colin Farrell. He was great. Bill Nighy, I really like. I've seen him in a handful of different things that I really enjoy watching him. Michelle Williams is my favorite actress. I'll watch anything that she's in.
What did you say?
Bill
Nighy, yeah.
Because I actually really love him. I just didn't know him by name, but I absolutely know his voice and his face.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett, definitely a hugely talented woman. Ana de Armas, I think, is skyrocketing ever since Knives Out.
Yeah.
And then
I never got to watch that.
the great thing about this Andrea Riseborough nomination for this movie that I don't think many people have heard of is that it was a grassroots kind of push from a lot of people, a lot of peers and people in the industry for her nomination. And there was a big controversy after the nominations were announced because a lot of people felt like there was some marketing done to get her nomination, which I think is kind of frowned upon, if not against the rules. But a lot of other actors made a point that there's, production companies put all this money out to promote actors to be nominated for roles. It's no different than people within the industry making starting a grassroots campaign for someone to be nominated as well. So I haven't seen To Leslie. There is a character there in the movie played by my cousin Scott Subiono, who's a working actor.
Shout out there.
Yeah, and a very good actor and working actor in LA. He's in that film, so at some point I will watch it. But I think it's interesting and a very nice nomination for Andrea Riseborough. But the two winners, I don't think you can argue with. Michelle Yeoh crushed it, and I've seen her in some other things that I felt like she was on that cusp of being recognized. And then Brendan Fraser. Especially if you're a dad. I don't think you have to be a dad, but especially if you're a dad, this movie, his performance and the movie hits you in a certain way, and I thought it was well done all around by all of these performers.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. Everybody deserved at least the nomination. All right, last category, ladies and gentlemen, is Best Picture. The winner, who was actually all three of ours top movie of 2022, Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Picture. Other nominees were All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. Is it always 10 nominations?
No, but
it seems like a lot to me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It used to be a limit of 5.
Yeah, and that's too little though.
Yeah, and then there was all this clamor about diversity and a lot of different snubs. So they expanded it to 10. I don't think it has to be 10 every year, but it's no more than 10. And I feel like all these films are worthy of the nomination.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I have only seen 6 of them, I believe, which actually for me is more than usual.
Yeah, I'm surprised you saw more than I did.
Yeah, which is very, very unusual because usually you see them all.
Yeah.
But Everything Everywhere All at Once just blew me away. I mean, if you want to know more about that film and our feelings on it, the best place to find that is our top 10 video, because we spent a good like 30 minutes just talking about this film. But it was incredible. Like I said earlier in the film though, or earlier in this episode though, after rewatching All Quiet on the Western Front, honestly, it might rival Everything Everywhere All at Once for the number one spot. And if I had seen it first before All Quiet or Everything Everywhere All at Once, it might be my favorite film of 2022. The film was just absolutely insane. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's one of the easiest films to watch because it's on Netflix, and a lot of these other ones may not be out on streaming service yet, or you might have to subscribe to Paramount Plus. Unfortunately,
ironically, probably one of the hardest movies to watch on this list.
Oh yeah, because like emotionally,
because of what it's about.
Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it.
Dad, come on.
I really want you to watch it.
Come on.
I really want to, and as much affection as you guys have for it, I feel like this movie deserves for me to kind of like wipe my schedule clean and really kind of just give it the opportunity to just focus on it, especially since it's like 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
It's like 3 hours,
so it's a long movie, and what I will say is that I'm usually one that is very skeptical of when people highly recommend things to me, right? Because for me, I hate when people say anything about a movie, whether it's good or bad, because then it sets expectations for me going into the movie. However, Taylor and one of our other mutual friends were hounding me to watch this movie and telling me that it was incredible. Everything about it was awesome. They even shared like little bits and pieces of it. And despite all of that, I still absolutely love the movie.
Yeah.
So, and that's very rare for me.
I do want to point out too, because I agree with how you feel with people like being a little too extra when they're like recommending things.
Yeah.
I'm not one to really push for things to be like, oh, like you need to watch this, you need to watch this.
For sure.
I just be like, cool, yeah, you should watch it. And then I'll usually leave it at that. But this was one when I was constantly trying to get him like, look, this is out. Please watch this.
Yeah.
Next week would go by.
It took me a couple weeks. It did. It took me a couple weeks for very similar reasons to you. I knew it was a long movie. Yeah. I knew it was emotionally charged. So I was just having trouble like, getting myself to be like, all right, I need to sit down and do it. But after watching it, I wish I had seen it sooner. Like I wish I had watched it as soon as Taylor told me about it, because it's such an incredible movie.
I'm excited to see it. I just need to set the time aside. Yeah. And we may not always like the same things, but you know me well enough to know what I think is a good film. And for you to recommend anything to me, I trust your recommendation. So I really feel like, like there's no question that this is a movie I should watch and I will likely enjoy.
It probably should be your next on your list of stuff to watch.
I mean, even for me, like, I know I don't obviously know you as well because I'm not your son, but just from from Through Ocean, I can almost certainly see that, like, you probably would love this movie too. Okay. I'm sure you might pick up maybe, I don't know. There's a lot about this movie that like even I really appreciate, but I would certainly say the same thing about something like Tar. Mm-hmm. I could see you appreciating that maybe more than me just because of your profession and stuff and, your interests. But as far as All Quiet on the Western Front, like I think it's actually a middle ground of like, there's things that I really love about it, but I'm sure there's even the little things you would certainly appreciate in that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're really gonna like it. I think most people will. So as far as the rest of the nominations though, I think everything deserved it. I don't have issues. Pretty surprised Top Gun Maverick was nominated.
As much as I'm glad it's there, it is kind of surprising.
It is quite a shock. I mean, it's not groundbreaking performances by anyone, but it is the perfect kind of nostalgic movie. I mean, they did a really good job on moving the story forward, but also really infusing it with a lot of nostalgia. So I mean, well done on their part. I agree. All these films certainly deserve to be nominated. I may I liked the Banshees of Inisherin. I'm still not quite sure about some of the things. Like, I still don't understand some of the things about that movie. I think maybe if it wasn't nominated, I wouldn't be phased.
You didn't think it like a snub.
Yeah,
It wasn't being
I wouldn't have think it was a snub. And then Avatar seems kind of like a token nomination. Like, how can we not nominate this groundbreaking film, or in terms of technology,
right,
that made all this money? I'm not 100% sold that it's a great film, but the work that you can't discount the work that was put into it.
Right. Yeah. It's always interesting to see what the Academy does with their nominations and with their awards, because sometimes they go very controversial. Sometimes they give into public opinion and public, they try to please or appease the public. So it's always interesting. But this year, to me, it kind of seems like a middle ground, I guess. Like, usually it's one way or the other. Usually, like, they're very controversial and like they're very critical, or they're just very public appeasing.
Yeah.
But this year it seems like they've figured out a good middle ground of giving people that actually deserve the awards, but also like, kind of appealing to the public as well.
Yeah, recognizing public opinion in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know we talked about that in our top 10 video that that I was interested to see if there was a way for the public to kind of have a say in these awards, especially since it's the biggest stage when it comes to awards for the film industry. And we're the ones essentially funding the film industry,
Yeah.
But for me, I loved the Oscars. It was great. The only issue that I really have with it is the host. I'm not. It's not that I'm not a fan of Jimmy Kimmel. It's that just the way that he was that night. I almost felt like he didn't want to be there. Like, I almost felt like he was just doing it because they asked him to, or like he had an obligation, or they just couldn't find anybody else, or I don't know. It just felt like his jokes were really dry to me, and he kept.
Maybe it's because he was afraid.
Yeah, he's afraid to get slapped. Yeah, so I mean, there were some funny jokes about that, but I know that it was like a major thing that happened, and I know that it's like on everybody's mind. But I don't know. I don't think you need to like harp on it all night to me, especially since when you do that, it detracts from the night itself, and it detracts from the actual focus of the Oscars. In his opening monologue, when he talked about the incident response team or whatever that they supposedly had there, like that's funny to me, and that's totally fine in the beginning. But then when you keep referencing stuff throughout the night, like it takes away from what the night is actually supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the artists and their performances and their work. And then there were other times where his jokes were just so flat to me. And I even like gauging the audience. It just seemed like he was falling flat on a lot of the audience as well. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I think Jimmy Kimmel's his performance was pretty subpar.
He's not my favorite. And I think he only needed to address the slap one time.
Yeah.
And clear the air, especially since Chris Rock's stand-up came out about like a week
or two before. Yeah. And
so
he did his own good job.
Yeah. And it's already back in published consciousness. And what I think makes Jimmy Kimmel great as a late night host is his personal interaction with the guest in the moment.
Right.
As far as a joke teller, maybe we don't. I don't know. Maybe that's not his greatest strength, or maybe we don't really care for that version of him. But I agree. I think a lot of his jokes kind of fell flat, and I feel like the Academy was looking for the safest host possible.
Yeah.
Somebody that wasn't going to rock the boat that much, somebody that could be a little bit entertaining.
That's fair.
I mean, that's kind of what they needed.
And that's what he was. Yeah, that's what he was. So that's fair.
I didn't really. I honestly just kind of avoided
his segment.
The transitional periods. I just focused on like the actual awards and stuff and their speeches. So I actually don't even know how he performed, but I just don't care for him anyways.
It's just meh.
But
not even my favorite.
By what you guys are saying, I mean, it sounds like he's exactly who they needed to be because of what happened last time. So makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as the Oscars go? Looking forward to next year.
I mean,
early prediction. I've talked about this on our channel already.
I already know yours.
early prediction.
I have no idea. I don't even know what's coming out.
Best picture nomination.
I know Oppenheimer.
I'm sure it'll be nominated.
It's gonna win. And
you sure you don't want Fast X?
Okay, all right. Fast X is probably gonna get some dumb nomination for like.
Please don't get nominated for
like sound design or something like that.
No nominations. Stop. Just stop.
Yeah. I don't think any of those movies have ever been nominated.
I hope not.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to you, Dad, and to Hawaii Public Radio for allowing us to do this here. It's really fun, and it's always good to get out of our studio every once in a while and learn new things with all this crazy equipment that they've got, but also just a little bit of change of pace. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And it's always great to have you on the show. Dad, anything you want to say for you?
I just thanks for inviting me. I always enjoy talking movies with you guys, so I had a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. And Taylor, you got anything? Sorry.
No, I mean, thank you. And thank you to Hawaii Public Radio for this really cool setup we've had. It's nice to be
some ideas flowing around in my head.
Nice to be in a professional.
It's nice to have an actual table.
I mean, we're totally professional here. Come on.
But thank you guys. Appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Check out our social media links as well as the other shows here on Any Kind Media. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.